Have you ever felt like you're fighting a war no one else can see? You wake up, face the same resistance, hear the same voices whispering that you don't have what it takes to win. And over time, those whispers start to sound like truth. Most people surrender right there. They accept defeat before the first strike. They tell themselves that their limits are final, that their circumstances, their weaknesses, their lack of something define who they are. But what if those limits were never walls, only doors waiting to be opened from the inside? What if every disadvantage you carry could be forged into a weapon, a blade so personal, so unexpected, that no one could defend against it? There exists a mindset capable of this transformation, a way of seeing that turns weakness into power. And one man, centuries ago, mastered it to perfection. His name was Minamoto no Yoshitsune, the warrior who became unstoppable precisely because he was not supposed to succeed. His life wasn't born of privilege or advantage. It was born of struggle, loss, and silence. And through that silence, he learned how to hear what others could not. Yoshitsune entered the world in 1159, during one of the bloodiest civil wars in Japanese history. His father was slain before his first birthday, his family destroyed by politics and vengeance. He grew up in exile, hidden within the quiet halls of a Buddhist monastery. No title, no inheritance, no soldiers to command. Only stillness, study, and the whisper of the wind through temple walls. It was there, away from the noise of ambition, that Yoshitsune began to see differently. While other samurai trained for strength, he trained for perception. While they memorized patterns, he learned to see the space between them, the unseen rhythm of opportunity that lives within chaos. When he finally stepped onto the battlefield, he was not like other warriors. He was not bound by tradition, nor blinded by pride. He fought with mind and spirit as much as sword and steel. His movements were poetry in motion, unpredictable, fluid, and devastatingly precise. Yoshitsune won battles he should have lost. Time after time, he faced armies larger, richer, more experienced. And yet, he triumphed. His opponents fought with numbers. He fought with clarity. They relied on power. He relied on insight. He had learned the secret of the warrior. True strength is not what you possess. It is how you see. Even centuries later, modern science would give this power a name: cognitive advantage, the ability to see possibility where others see only walls. Yoshitsune lived it long before psychology caught up. He understood that innovation begins where certainty ends. But this way of thinking, this revolutionary mindset, is not reserved for the battlefield. It is a philosophy of life. It can be practiced by anyone willing to question the rules they've been taught to obey. It lives in 3 timeless principles. First, when everyone goes right, go left. When the crowd rushes toward the obvious, pause and look where no one is looking. That's where opportunity hides. At the Battle of Ichinotani, the enemy fortress stood behind sheer cliffs that even the boldest generals called impossible to descend. Every strategist planned the same frontal assault, predictable, safe, doomed. Yoshitsune instead gazed at those cliffs and asked, "What if the path everyone avoids is the path meant for me?" He led his men down the cliffs, riding horses down a slope no one believed could be crossed. To the enemy it was madness, until it became genius. They never saw it coming. The impossible became victory. That's what it means to think differently. He didn't win because he was stronger. He won because he dared to look where no one else did. If everyone in your field is doing the same thing, perhaps your breakthrough lies in doing the opposite. If everyone is fighting for space in the same arena, create your own. Second, turn weakness into weapon. What others pity in you, sharpen until it cuts through doubt itself. At the Battle of Dan no Ura, Yoshitsune commanded a smaller fleet against Japan's most powerful navy. The sea was filled with ships far grander and heavier than his own. He did not try to match them. Instead, he turned his disadvantage into strategy. His ships were small, quick, and light, easily dismissed by his opponents. But when battle began, they darted across the water like wind over waves. While the enemy lumbered forward, He struck from angles they could not anticipate. The mightiest fleet in Japan was undone by the one they underestimated. Your own life works the same way. The things you call flaws, they are just unrefined power. Shyness can make you a better observer. Poverty can make you resourceful. Rejection can make you independent. Every scar can be reforged into skill. What defines you is not what you lack, but how you use it. Third, be fluid as water, firm as rock. Adaptation without compromise. Movement without betrayal of self. Yoshitsune never used the same tactic twice. He flowed like water, always finding new forms. Yet his principles were unshakable. Honor, courage, integrity. Even when his own brother turned against him, seeing him as a threat, Yoshitsune refused to abandon his code. He lost power, yes. He lost favor, eventually even his life. But what he gained was eternal. 8 centuries have passed, and still his name commands respect. The brother who betrayed him is forgotten, swallowed by time. Yoshitsune endures, because power fades, but integrity never dies. A philosopher once said, "The one who bends without breaking becomes the mountain itself." That was Yoshitsune's truth, and it can be yours. So how do we live this in the modern world? It begins with ritual, not superstition, but intention. A way to sharpen the mind before life dulls it. Each morning, before your phone, before the world, pause. Breathe. Ask yourself, what boundary will I cross today? What fear will I confront? What old rule will I rewrite? Write it down. Let ink anchor intention. Then act. Not grand gestures, just one deliberate, disruptive act. Speak the truth you've been avoiding. Try the thing you've been afraid to fail at. Break the pattern that has kept you predictable, and each night reflect. Where did you act with courage? Where did you retreat? What lesson did the day reveal about your own discipline? This isn't self-help, it's training, the daily sharpening of mind and soul. Neuroscience now proves what ancient warriors already knew. Daily discipline rewires the brain. In just weeks, structure becomes instinct. Calm becomes power. Focus becomes freedom. This is the path of mastery, the path Yoshitsune walked, the path available to you. You do not need to be stronger than others. You need only to be more awake. The real battle has always been inward, between the part of you that settles and the part that refuses. So ask yourself, what rule will you break today? What limitation will you turn into your blade? What impossible will you make inevitable? If these words stirred something in you, share them with someone who needs to remember their own hidden strength. The battle for greatness is not fought with swords or wealth, but with spirit. And that spirit is waiting for you to rise. Train your mind, master yourself, walk the dojo path.